Welcome to Talking Bengals, a Bengals site made by the fans for the fans. Check out Talking Bengals on iTunes, Google Play, Buzzsprout, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Talking Bengals. Now, let's join the conversation. Hello and welcome this week to episode 28 of Talking Bengals. I know it's going to be a great one because it's a great number. 28 is the best, and hopefully Bengals number 28, Joe Mixon, has a great year. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Doing all right, Casey. How you doing, dude?
You know, it's a Monday. We're having some technical difficulties with some home appliances, but other than that, it's not too bad of a day. So we'll just have to roll from there. But, let's get into this week and let's talk about a little bit of last week, actually, before we get too far, and that's the Bengals and Chiefs. I was very disappointed. I don't even know. I'll let you start. I took last week the first part of the preview, so I'll let you start.
I'll be kind of short. There's not really a whole lot to say other than the defensive line. We'll just do brief here. Defensive line not getting the push they need on the quarterback. On their rush defense, on running downs, they're not getting the push in the backfield to stop the run. The linebackers aren't filling the gaps like they need to be able to stop the run. And the entire defense is just arm tackling and it looks like they're being lazy. The offense, the line's not giving any of the quarterbacks time. It doesn't matter who's blocking. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think that if the team wants to put in the work, I think that they can make it work. But there's a lot of work. Dalton, he looked to me kind of normal. Josh Malone making some pretty decent catches, going in to get some fairly poorly thrown balls. The kicking spot, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But, to me, I don't know. I was watching some highlights, and Josh Malone was making some pretty good catches. Casey, I'll let you go in a little more depth.
Well, it was a game that I thought the Bengals could have had well in hand. My prediction last week had them winning by, 11 points. So I was very disappointed just how they came out. They looked almost flat. The defensive line is really beginning to become a concern. I know it's only the second week of the preseason, but they're still struggling to get any penetration. The Chiefs were a pretty good team last year. You were hoping for a better showing against a high-caliber team in your own conference. So it was a little bit disappointing that, they couldn't get anything going. The running game didn't look that great. The first-string offense didn't look horrible, but they didn't look, where they need to be. And I'm with you. I didn't think Dalton looked that great, though, honestly. I think he really looked like he was struggling with his accuracy and consistency, and he just didn't really look 100% comfortable in the pocket. And, the backups from there just didn't get much better. The only thing that you could say was the highlight of the game was the fact you got to see both kickers kick a little bit more, and it was good kicking competition. And thus far, we both made our opinions known last week, but at least, we got to see a little bit of kicking. But definitely my biggest worries right now is on the defense. The offensive line, yeah, somewhat of an issue. I'm still a little bit worried. They got some work to do. But I can see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel there because, oh boy, you had a couple good blocks that were, just like pull blocks and took some people out. But if the defensive line can't get going, can't get a pass rush, we're not going to be able to stop any, quality offenses in the NFL, much less any offense. So it really worries me that the defensive line is struggling as bad as it is. So we just got to see where we can go from there. I'll let you get into the kicking battle a little bit here.
The kicker battle, good night. Both kickers just, putting it straight through the uprights. Jake Elliott just boots the ball. He's got a freaking steel toe. But Bullock, he's old, but, he's kicking it through the uprights, and he's doing pretty good. Not really leaving too much to chance. But then again, you have to look back at the history, and you can look at Bullock's history, and why not give the young guy the chance? Keep Bullock on the team, maybe on a roster spot. Maybe see if he'll stick around for a little while, just to see if Elliott does well. But I don't know. Like I said last week, I don't think that Bullock should get the job. I think that he's already shown that he's inconsistent enough to not keep around. But it is the Bengals, and I don't see them taking two kickers. But if they did, if they ever wanted to, now would probably be the time.
Well, I definitely don't think it can keep two kickers. There's too many, big battles going on the roster to begin with. If you take up two spots with a kicker, then you're going to be cutting somebody that you may actually need or use. And I mean, if Jake Elliott doesn't pan out, because I still think that's who they're going to keep. If he's just absolutely, the second coming of Neil Rackers, and it's just absolutely abysmal and terrible. We want him gone in the middle of the season. There's always a pool of kickers to grab from. Randy Bullock may very well be in that pool of kickers to choose from at that point. So I don't think keeping two on the roster makes any sense at all. You might as well just, get rid of the one that you don't want, Randy Bullock, and then let Jake Elliott have the job, be comfortable and confident, knowing there's not anybody trying to pressure him. You can just get relaxed. But we'll just see. I think, Elliott is still the clear-cut choice. I mean, Randy Bullock's making his kicks right now, but, he missed one big one last year against Houston, and that's just, I can't forget that one. That's one the fans aren't going to forget. So why don't we just give the job to Jake Elliott, the young rookie, and let him just use his powerful leg, and maybe he could be, one of the best kickers in Bengals history. So it's going to move us out of all the big stuff from last week. And, I mean, like I said, not a whole lot of good things to talk about. We only got 12 points, and those are all off field goals. None of the offense by the end zone. So we'll just say sayonara Kansas City game and move on looking at stuff prepping for next week. So we're going to go into our sick call, or also known as the injury report. So the Bengals did suffer a big injury this week with Sean Williams going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a dislocated elbow. Nick, what do you think?
Well, I was reading something that one of his, I think that, was it Shaw, that him and Sean Williams and Shaw are real close friends. I think Sean Williams was the best man at his wedding, if I remember reading it correctly. Just talking about how tough of a guy he was, and when he went down, the type of scream he had. But losing a guy like Sean Williams in the preseason, it really stinks. I mean, you got a tough guy, someone that can use on defense, someone that you can use on special teams, a guy who's really a versatile athlete. It's gonna be something definitely felt. Hopefully the ball doesn't continue to roll downhill on it, and hopefully Sean Williams gets healthier sooner, and we don't continue to, because for the past couple of years, one linebacker went down, then another linebacker, then another, and it just seemed like once you get someone hurt at one position, it was just everybody else getting hurt at the same position. So hopefully Sean Williams gets back soon, and hopefully that elbow heals up quickly. Casey?
Well, Sean Williams he was the guy that replaced Reggie Nelson, and I still don't know if that was the best decision, and now you even got him going down. So who's going to replace him? That's my biggest concern while he's out, because he's out 4 to 6 weeks. So who's going to replace him? You got Deron Smith, who's a third-year player. Then you got a rookie and Brandon Wilson. I don't really feel confident with either one of them. And, I mean, it's going to be a big loss there in the secondary. And now you got George Iloka still – he's coming back, but he's not 100%. Then you got Sean Williams. So you might be without both of your starting safeties week 1 against Baltimore, a division game, a big game as far as their season could pan out. I mean, a win there gets you a 1-up in the division, as well as, your first victory of the year. But now your defense is starting to dwindle a little bit. That secondary is losing its experience, is losing its quality players. And that just concerns me quite a bit. I'm just very worried about the fact that, if he's out for a long period of time, it could spell a lot of very bad things for the Bengals. But, what can you do about that? And then somebody else, an injury update, CJ Uzama is now more than likely going to be put on the IR return list, which means he's going to be on the injured reserve, but the Bengals will be able to call him back later on during the season if, he's healthy and ready to go. So that already puts them, one less in the tight end category as of right now. We know Tyler Eifert's past and his issues that he's had. So, Nick, how do you feel about if Eifert goes down as well as Uzama? Who's going to lead the tight ends?
Well, I mean, you have the obvious two that are going to be around with Tyler Croft and Hewitt, but I mean, like you were saying with the comfortability with the safety position, I don't feel too comfortable, honestly, with those two players being there with the tight end. I mean, when Eifert was out last year, they didn't really fill the spot very well. I mean, Eifert is a key player, and we need him to stay healthy. A few snaps here and there, maybe a couple of quarter where, Eifert's taking a break, on long drives maybe, bringing in Croft or Hewitt or maybe when Uzama comes back, bringing them into the game during times to give Eifert a break. Yeah, I can see that. Or when you have a two tight end set, but quite frankly, with the other tight ends, I don't feel comfortable with any of them. Quite frankly, on the field, I think that Tyler Eifert needs to stay healthy. He needs to stay on the field if we're going to have a good chance at having a solid tight end out on the field, especially with the guys that we have.
Yes, I am definitely concerned. And, with the way these injury situations are going and how not exciting the preseason's been as far as the first string and how, like, they're not quite clicking just yet, I'm not going to write off the team, obviously. But, if we get another Tyler Eifert does go down, Sean Williams is out for a longer time, George Iloka's down, and then you lose one or two more key players, then what are you really left with? I mean, this is a team that was depending on guys to stay healthy in order for them to contribute. If they're really going to have a shot at being a contender, which now is all for the optimism. I'm all thinking everything's going great. And all of a sudden, that nagging pessimism is just already starting to like bubble up below the surface there, which all Bengals fans are familiar with, that nagging pessimism, and just you hope it goes away. You hope, week 3 is the dress rehearsal, and I'm not going to get too much into it yet, but you're hoping that they can just come out and actually, look good. The first string does what it should do, and, gives you a little bit of hope going into week 1 against Baltimore. Because, the last week of the preseason is just going to be Snoresville, USA, as we watch a few guys trying to make the roster. If we lose Eifert with Uzama already out, and the Bengals, they drafted that guy, but he's probably not even going to make the team. So I don't know. Maybe they should go out looking for a tight end at this point. Like, maybe we need a guy who's a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more proven, because Tyler Croft, I don't feel very confident with him as the main guy if Eifert goes down. That's going to lead us right into Roaster or Boaster for this week. And one of our first question that we got, Nick, I'm going to send it to you. It is, fans should be concerned about the starting offense.
I'm kind of halfway in between roasted and boasted it. Being concerned with the starting offense. I'm going to boast that they should probably be concerned at this point. Basically, and my reasoning is because the offensive line hasn't proven anything yet. Mixon's an athlete, so he's going to find holes. Jeremy Hill's a north and south runner, so he's going to get yardage no matter what. I mean, he falls forward. Gio's an athlete, so you're not going to have to worry about him finding a couple yards here and there. But I mean, if Andy Dalton doesn't feel comfortable in the pocket, he's not going to be able to make a good complete pass. He is not a scrambler. He's not the kind of athlete that you would think that, like a Michael Vick or somebody that can scramble at all. I mean, Dalton needs the offensive line to block for him. And with the Bengals, they need to have a line to block for him so that way they can use their weapons on the outside. A.J. Green, John Ross, Josh Malone, Boyd. I mean, name them. Tyler Eifert, Joe Mixon. I mean, you have guys that you can bring in that are complete athletes, and you just need the line to block for them. And to me, I'm boasting it because I think the line, if they don't step up, we're going to be in a real up shit's creek. Pardon my language, but that's about as best as I can describe it. That may be a little Bungles in me right now, but I'm a Bengals fan. You got to prove it to me.
I'm not going to roast it at this point. It was only game 2. The starting offense is out there a little bit longer, but it still wasn't enough of a sample size, be hitting the panic button quite yet. I think I'll stick with that nagging pessimism. You got that little bit of Bengals worry like you were talking about. But it's going to be this week. Week 3 is the week where, if they just come out and lay a giant egg, then I may start worrying a little bit more, maybe hitting the panic button a little bit like, uh-oh. This season we thought could have some promise, and right now it looks like we're just going to be in for, a 4-12, maybe a 5-11, something that's not looking good. And I really feel like if this team takes a step backwards again this year or stays the same as they did last year, that's alarming. You're losing time on, A.J. Green and Andy Dalton and all those guys, and you really needed to build an offensive line, and the problem was that the draft this year was no good for offensive line. So, you just it'll bring up a whole lot more questions if week 3 they look bad and then it translates to regular season just looking bad. But, I'm going to definitely roast it at this point because, I think when they get a larger sample size, they're going to go out there, they're going to compete, they're going to do what they need to do. And so I'm not that worried about them at this point. So our next question may be an interesting one that a lot of fans haven't thought about or hasn't been talked about much yet in the media. But, in the offseason or the last season, they started talking a little bit about Adam Jones, maybe moving to more of a nickel, playing a little bit of safety if possible. So my question to you is, will Adam Jones move to safety in the absence of Sean Williams?
I think it would be in the best interest of the team for him to move to safety. I think as a football player, Adam Jones is a smart football player. I think as a defensive back, he could really lead the team from the safety position. I don't think it would be a bad idea at all. So Adam Jones moved to safety in the absence of Sean Williams. Boast it. Quite frankly, I think that Adam Jones is a smart football. Those two go together. And yes, I'm definitely boasting it. Adam Jones is a football player, and he has football smarts. And to lead from the safety position, I think would be a good idea for the Bengals. Just quite frankly, because you can find younger guys who are athletes that can cover the receivers. And Adam Jones, you're talking about with the nickel defense, being able to double cover or to be able to do a quarterback read deep on deeper plays. You have Adam Jones, who's a football smart individual. Why not use him that way?
Absolutely. He's one of your most experienced people in the secondary. He's still a quality player. He hits hard. He has football smarts. He's intelligent across the middle. So, yeah, why not move him back there? I'm not saying he's lost a step or two yet, but, last season was a step backwards from the season before. And you got some young guys, William Jackson III, Drake Kirkpatrick's coming into his own a little bit more. If Darqueze Dennard stays healthy, who knows? So, you got some guys who can fill those slots now. So, maybe move Adam Jones back there. He's going to be your best option. I don't feel comfortable with anybody else really playing safety. I feel like if you move him back there, then that gives you a little bit of potential, a little bit, room for error with a guy that's at least, football smart, knows what's going on, has played the game for a long time, and the more he's on the field this season for the Bengals, the more successful I think they're going to be. He's just, a leader on that defense, and he just needs to be out on the field. So that's going to wrap it up for Roaster Boasted, and that's going to move us into the preview for the Bengals-Redskins next week. Nick, what do you think for the preview?
I think what we're going to need to see from the offense is a little bit of proving. The offensive line proving that they can block for Dalton. With Mixon, quite frankly, he's an athlete. You give him a little bit of a block, and he's going to be able to make a play. But with Dalton, he's not quick on his feet. He's somebody who drops back to pass, and he needs a little time to throw. If you give him that little bit of time, he excels. He is a great passer when he has that time in the pocket. Give him that 3-step drop and give him time to throw, or even on a 5-step drop, or even shotgun. He's got to have a little bit of time to make a decision to throw. He's got the wide receivers. He's got the running backs. He needs to have that offensive line. And maybe because I played offensive line my entire life, when I see the Bengals offensive line doing things that they did this past week, it worries me. Maybe it's because I've played offensive line and I can see little things that they did. It worries me a little bit. Even on plays where Dalton made good throws, still having people in his face, still having people running past him after he throws. Just having him know in the back of his mind that if he didn't get the ball out, he's going to get his face smashed into the ground. I mean, if your quarterback is comfortable in the pocket, I mean, heck, he'd buy you a steak dinner at the end of the night. I mean, you just need to have your quarterback safe in the pocket, plain and simple. Then defensive side, we need to have some younger guys step up. Quite frankly, in the cornerback and the defensive lines area, be able to show some energy. Gino needs to step up and show some energy and be able to pressure the pocket. He needs to pressure the run as well. Someone who's as big as strong as him, they need to get pressure into the pocket, pressure on the run. They need to make sure that they can fill gaps of the linebackers. Just a lot of proving themselves this week. And the Redskins is the team to do it on. So I guess this week is the week of proving. So that way that the Bengals fans might have a little glimmer of hope going into the first week.
So this week's almost going to feel like, a normal football game because, they're on at 3:30 on Sunday, going to be shown on Fox, so everybody should be able to watch it. And I just feel like you've hit on a lot of the main points there as far as what they need to do this week. They need to come out and make this seem like it is a regular season game. The first string needs to be firing on all cylinders. They need to be, prepped and ready and doing what they need to do. And they got to show the fans something because this is a week one. Sure, you only had one series, not a whole lot to, yay or nay on. But this second week was pretty disappointing. So the third week, they really need to come out and prove something. They got to show what's going on. The offense has to be successful. They need to get some touchdowns. The first string offense is still yet to get a touchdown this preseason. They need to get at least a couple of them against the Redskins for fans to start feeling better about their possibilities and their chances of success. And then the defense, like you said, the pass rush is the biggest thing. That is the key for them this entire season, is if they can rush the passer, make them uncomfortable, make the quarterback throw bad throws, and cause turnovers, that's when the Bengals are the most successful on defense. They're never known as, the toughest group of guys or, the best this or that. But when they put pressure on quarterbacks, cause the quarterback to make a mistake, that's when they're successful. So now I'm going to kick it back to you for final thoughts here and give us a prediction on the score for next week.
Final thoughts is I just hope that the Bengals come out and prove themselves this week. It's plain and simple. I think that's my final thoughts. I just hope they prove themselves. Predictions or preseason game, we'll say, since this is episode 28, I'll say 28 the Bengals, with the Redskins 14. I'll say their backups scored 2 touchdowns. So 28-14. Casey?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and just, put out their final thoughts this week is I'm just ready for it to look like real football. So hopefully this week, it looks like a regular season game. Typically a third preseason does. So let's just, it's on a Sunday afternoon. I'm going to make some, chicken dip, watch the game, have a few adult beverages, and enjoy it. And I'm going to see the Bengals win 21-10. That's my final prediction for this week. And that's going to wrap it up for us this week, fans. Sorry for any technical difficulties that you've had to endure throughout this podcast. And just, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, and Buzzsprout. Have a fantastic week. Hooday.
Hooday.